Hey everybody, thanks for stopping in and joining us with our live coverage of Tropical Storm Beta that is really imminent within landfall, you guys, within these next couple of minutes. I think while we're doing this broadcast, we should get an update from the National Hurricane Center that this is indeed making landfall. It's less than 5 miles from Port Connor and is expected to make landfall here very soon. So there has been a ton of rain already with Beta. We've been very concerned with how much flooding is really going to become an issue. And Damien is driving the bus tonight for us. Damien, let's show this video. I literally just got this video about 10 minutes ago. It's from Pastor Jamie G. He's a pastor, but he's also a storm chaser. And he's got some incredible video that he's getting out of Texas. Now, the video that we have is in Belfort, and there is a ton of standing water there, driving rain, roads that are completely impassable, cars also completely flooded out, and it is going to be a mess here because once Beta technically makes landfall, it's not expected to move much over the next 24 hours or so. So here's some of that video. Again, it's just unbelievable what kind of conditions that they're getting there, and you can see that truck there that may be on that flatbed to try and avoid the flooding. You can see that there is definitely cars that are not going to be doing well. They will not be doing much of anything here in these next couple of days because the flooding is going to be so bad as we head through I think at least through 24 to 36 hours. So we'll see how that all plays out. So as we look at what's going on across the radar, it's really kind of fascinating to watch, you guys. And I apologize. I keep looking down because I want to see if we get that update from the Hurricane Center to see if we have a technical landfall, but not yet. So I'll keep you updated. I'm going to keep watching, but we're very close. So as we look at our live radar, and again, Damien, if you want to take this full screen, I'll take a look at this with everybody a little closer. So Port Lavaca is probably the largest port in this area. Port Connor is just to the south of that. So I'll zoom in here, and there's Port Lavaca, and the actual center is right about, let me grab my pointer. It's really hard to pick out, but it's right in here, and I'm actually kind of surprised that the Hurricane Center hasn't officially made a landfall call yet, because they're probably waiting until it gets officially on the mainland. It's really crossing over the barrier here. But I think that, again, very close. Port Lavaca up here, lots of embedded heavy rain here. And as I mentioned, there has been a ton of standing water and already flooded out conditions already across this area. And I'm very concerned that as we head through these next 24 hours, it is really going to be a problem with Beta. So hang on one second, you guys, while I check this. Just want to make sure we're not missing anything. And not that, you know, we know it's so close to land, but when you're, I would like to at least let you all officially know when it does make landfall. So I keep looking down, and that's what I'm doing. There's Galveston Bay up here, and then let me pull this out a little bit, and we can take a little better look. Again, with tropical storms, the storm surge with this, we're going to show you all of that in a second, is only about 2 to 4 feet. So right now, that is, of course, not life-threatening, but tomorrow with high tide, it could become life-threatening. So I know there's been evacuations here. And as I pull the radar out, you can see New Orleans radar. There's another big batch of rain that's off south of the boot of Louisiana. All of that going to be drifting into Louisiana and Texas between today and tomorrow. And again, the steering currents with Beta are expected to completely collapse. So that is the worst scenario in terms of rainfall that we could be talking about. Even though this is a tropical storm, we've already seen several piers in this area that have been taken down. The battering wind and rain will start to have a cumulative effect because they've already been dealing with Beta since this weekend. And because the steering currents are expected to completely just fall apart, it's expected to just nudge across eastern Texas coastline for 24 hours. So that's going to rack up some significant rain as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. So again, the center right about in here, you can see the heavier bands that have been rotating on shore since early today. And then as we head through tonight, again, it's going to kind of drift slowly up in here, and eventually expected to make a second significant impact here somewhere on Louisiana's coast in a couple of days. And then after that, it's expected to dissipate. But I think we're going to be talking about a major flooding event in this area. So here's a look at the storm velocity, and I've got this toggled on to take a look to see if we've got anything that is looking interesting here. And so far, I have not seen anything in terms of severe weather. We do expect to see there could be some possibility of severe weather. Let me make sure. Yep, I've got my or my tornado warnings turned on. I don't see anything. Wait 1 second. There we go. We'll take a quick little scan in the velocity. And again, velocity, for those of you that may not know, depicts the wind and the rotation inside storms. So when we're looking at landfalling tropical cyclones, even tropical storms, we can get short, brief spin-ups because remember, the thunderstorms are rotating with the bands around the tropical storm. So by nature, the fact that the storms are rotating themselves, when they interact with land, we can get friction, and that can create some lift and some cross of winds that can create rotation, and that's sometimes when we can get brief spin-ups. But so far, everything's looking good. As I scan across here, now we're over in Louisiana. Don't see anything here either, but there has been some issues with some severe weather here that I think we could see play out, especially through the overnight and into tomorrow. So make sure you have your app turned on and you've got your notifications in the event that you get a warning. You can react pretty quickly. So here's a live look at the current wind gusts as of 11:39 Eastern, 10:39 Central, and Rockport reporting a wind gust just under 30 miles an hour. Port Lavaca, again, probably the closest port to the actual center of Beta, 39.1. So that's totally verifying with the sustained wind of 45, a wind gust of 30 at Houston, and then at Lake Charles and New Orleans keep going out. They were in that ballpark the last hour. The readings are not working this hour, but 24.2 for that buoy that's well off the coast there, that block WR29 that's in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So in the neighborhood of 30, 35 miles an hour. But again, the consistency of those winds could bring in some flooding conditions, or already we're seeing flooding conditions, but of course we could see some minor power outages as well as we head into tonight and into tomorrow. So here's a look at the accumulated radar data. This puts everything into perspective over the last 48 hours, and I expect for this to again to significantly increase as we head into tonight. Whoops, let me mute that. So you can see that the pinks there indicate that the estimated rainfall rates have been about 5 inches. The orange you see there has been a little less than that, about 3 inches. So there's certainly been plenty of opportunity for the rain to put down some significant numbers. But look at this batch of rain that's off the coast south of the boot of Louisiana. Again, that's all going to kind of drift north as we head through tomorrow and into Wednesday. So again, the concern there for some flooding issues as we head into the next couple of days. All right, let's see. I just was flipping over to Facebook real quick, and Anna Small is asking, what is the effect for Houston in the surrounding areas? So Houston, I'm going to show you your rain potential here in the next minute or so. Just give me a second, and I'll get to that graphic. I think anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain is possible. Winds for you guys, again, in the neighborhood 25, 30 miles an hour in gusts. Probably as Beta kind of drifts north, you might get a couple of those stronger bands that will pulse up to around 40, 45 miles an hour. But this is a very disorganized tropical storm. So it's not a classic tropical, healthy tropical storm by any stretch. But the winds, again, are sustained at 45 miles an hour. So there's definitely some opportunity here for it to create some damage for that area. So the movement is northwest at 3. Again, it's moving super slow. And the sustained winds are 45, as I mentioned, just 5 miles east of Port Connor. So you do the math there. That this update came down at the top of the hour about 42 minutes ago. So we're really, really close to that official landfall. And I keep looking at the app because the app does a great job of actually showing where the center is. So it's very close to an official landfall, I think. And let me just refresh my page here to make sure we don't have a call yet. So you can see the coordinates there. And as we get into the overnight, again, it's going to slow down even more so. Look at that big gap there between tomorrow and into Wednesday. So see this big gap right in here? This just shows you how slow it's expected to move over these next 2 days, not going very far. By Thursday, it only gets into southwestern Mississippi. So over these next 3 days, normally in a normal tropical cyclone that had some good steering currents, it would be way out of here by Thursday. But because the steering currents are so weak and are collapsing as we speak, it's only going to move this short area in these next 72 hours. So that's the concern I have for these flooding events. Even though it's disorganized, even though it is not putting down significant rains across a widespread of geography, it is putting down tropical rain, and tropical rain is heavier. I always tell folks this. It's heavier than a typical garden variety summer storm you would get. So you're going to get faster rain rates than you would with a tropical rain than you will a typical afternoon thunderstorm. So I'll go back and show you the reflectivity, by the way. We'll toggle on some of the numbers there and see what we're getting per hour. But here's a look at the tropical storm warnings. You can see them pretty much from Corpus Christi back over to Louisiana, just to the east, to the west rather, of Grand Isle. And that likely will stay as tropical storm warnings. There's no intensification expected with beta over these next 24 hours, even though it's going to kind of be floating in between land and the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to be moving into a less favored environment as it gets closer to Louisiana. So we don't think this is going to get any stronger. But as you can see, there is a storm surge warning of 2 to 4 feet, and that area is shaded in the pink. So again, as I mentioned, that is usually a survivable storm surge. But remember, tomorrow when high tide comes, you can tack on another 2 feet. 6 feet is a very dangerous storm surge. So we're really right on the cusp of some really dangerous storm surge as we get into high tide tomorrow. So that's why there's that threat for some serious weather. And that storm surge, again, is the analogy I use when the Gulf of Mexico and land become one and that wall of water pushes on shore. We've already had the surge come in today. It comes in ahead of any landfalling tropical cyclone, and it sticks around for a while. So we're still going to be talking about that storm surge tomorrow. In terms of the estimated rainfall between now and Thursday, this is from the Weather Prediction Center. Most folks, 5 to 7 inches in that area in the orange and red, and you see that does have Houston. I have another model I'm going to show you that doesn't have that much rain for Houston, but I do think 3 to 4 inches in Houston is certainly doable between now and the next couple of days, especially if it moves even slower than is currently forecast. Port Lavaca, yep, I do think you're going to get 5 inches easily. You've already had several inches of rain. You've got more coming because, again, it's just now on that cusp of making landfall and going to be just crawling along the coast, right around the port there as we head through tonight and into early tomorrow. 3 to 5 inches of rain in those areas shaded in purple. That includes most of northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and then back over towards Mississippi. So it's that Texarkana area that we're looking at, and back towards Mississippi and into Alabama. Again, a couple inches of rain as we head through the second half of the week. So here's a look at that second model I was talking about. So this is a high resolution model, calls for about an inch of rain in Galveston. I didn't put Houston on this one because it had it about the same thing for Galveston. Port Lavaca, I think that's completely underdone. I think it's going to be closer to 3 or 4 inches. But this just, again, is guidance. This is not set in stone. But the New Orleans rain potential, 3.6, I think is certainly doable. I think 2.2 in Pascagoula, yep, right on. 3 inches in Andalusia, yep, I think that's right on target. So some of the numbers here I think are doing a good job, but the modeling, again, I think kind of dropping the ball there near Port Lavaca where it's coming in. So I think 3 to 4 inches of rain for those folks there is definitely up on the table, and I think it's definitely going to play out. Wanted to show you real quickly the bigger Atlantic basin, because if 2020 wasn't wackadoo enough, you guys, Paulette regenerated within this last hour as well. So you can see Teddy moving off towards the north, and actually Teddy has been impacting a big chunk of the Atlantic seaboard today. I'll talk about that in just a second. But we have a 10% chance of that little wave that's in between Cuba and the Florida Straits. Not too worried about that. Teddy, again, is expected to stay away from the U.S. mainland. However, it continues to bring impacts. I'll show you that map in just a second. But there's Paulette. Remember Paulette? That was in the central Atlantic last week, got really close to Teddy's path, and then it dissipated. It regenerated because the actual surface low stayed intact. If this had completely fallen apart and lost any of its organization, that would have become Gamma. If you can follow along here, you guys, I'm telling you, the 2020 season. But the surface low stayed intact, so it is been renamed Paulette. And I'm telling you, it has just been one heck of a year, you guys. Let me show you real quick. I think I've got one more. Yep, I've got this map in here. So there has been huge surf advisory problems all the way from the Florida Keys up the Atlantic seaboard. So there's a high surf advisory through tomorrow for a big chunk of the Atlantic seaboard, and high rip current risk through Wednesday. And that's all thanks to Teddy. Even though it's about 1,000 miles away, it's still creating large swells, dangerous surf conditions. And there's also the king tide going on. So there has been a ton of flooding across a lot of the video that I've seen today has come out of South Florida, in Palm Beach County in particular. But I've seen it up and down the Atlantic seaboard today with the king tides and Teddy causing some big problems. So we've got Teddy also creating some nightmare headaches for folks along the eastern seaboard as well. So here's what's happening tonight and into tomorrow. So again, Beta just hugging along the coastline there, slowly churning towards the east as we head through the next couple of days, eventually going to become extratropical, losing its true core center, but not before it creates a big headache for that area of the country. Okay, let me go back up to the rain rates real quick, because I wanted to take a look at those. I meant to look at that before we took down this live broadcast. And let me take a look with the Hurricane Center, see if we have an update. We do not. Gosh, we are so close to an official landfall. I'm telling you, it's just knocking on the door there. Okay, so here is, let me take a look at some of the rain rates. So we'll just toggle some of these on. Actually, let me erase that and go further in. And let's go right about here. And now we'll toggle some of these guys on. So Port Lavaca, that's not, that's certainly average about 7.17 inches an hour. Some of these bigger rain rates, that are these bigger bands that I'm toggling on, you can see some of them as much as half of an inch an hour. But again, in a couple hours, you can get 2, 3, 4 inches of rainfall. And the fact that this thing is not moving tonight, again, significantly enhances the flooding risk as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. So on radar, again, it's not what I would call a classic system by any stretch of the imagination, but it is still managing to create some headaches and some big time flooding in that part of Texas. And one more look at the loop, because I wanted to show you this as well. Still getting a fair amount of those feeder bands that are still going to be making it onto shore. So in these next couple of hours, some of these guys right here, remember these tropical bands, they come in fast and they drop big rain quickly. And then you can see we're getting, some of this rain is going to push the water out of the bays here and push it back out into the Gulf. So we might see some of the action, but it's tonight, it's dark out, so I don't know how much we'll see. But we saw it with Sally. When Sally came on shore, we saw some of the water being pushed back out into the Gulf and through Pensacola, and we saw it along the coastline of Louisiana as well. So some of that water on the north side of Beta will kind of push that water back on the backside back out into the Gulf. So that's probably going to be going on tonight and tomorrow up in this area too, not as much, but more near Port Lavaca and not so much in Corpus Christi. But again, interesting to see that as we head into tonight, that these completely lack of steering currents, what kind of rain rates it's going to be putting down for this area of the country. Let me take a quick look at Facebook again. Linda Satterfield in Panama City said she's getting some effects. And you're welcome, Anna. She's watching in Ontario, Canada. She's got friends in Houston. And let's see. So Chris Rosella said 14 minutes ago that Barrier Island was the official landfall. I have not seen that on, let's see, let me check again. I'm on the Hurricane Center's website, and they'll normally put, oh, wait a minute, here's an update. Nope, I don't have one. So if there has been an official call, I don't see it. Let me look and see if I see it on Twitter. Let me do a quick search. Usually we'll get an update from the National Hurricane Center. They'll put an official top line and say that it's made landfall, but I don't see it on Twitter. It doesn't mean it's not there, but I happen not to see it here as I'm looking quickly here. No, so I don't see an official call, but if it's out there, I don't see it on any of the official websites yet. Let's see. Let me check over to YouTube. Last I looked, there was not. What about Hurricane Paulette reforming? Yep, I talked about that. BG asking that. And then Jeffrey Sands talking about a tilted eye. I'm not sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about Paulette, there's not really an eye with Beta. It's pretty disorganized, but there's certainly some. There's obviously a center and an organized center, and it has definitely not been a classic tropical feature. But again, my concern is not so much the wind and the storm surge as it is that driving rain that's going to just continue to pound that area all night long tonight and early into tomorrow. So I'll check one more time before we take this feed down. I thank you guys for staying up. I know it's late. We've been trying to work through some technical problems, trying to get those all worked out. So we're doing this live update a little later than we typically do. But I wanted to thank you guys for hanging with me. Okay, I still don't see anything from the Hurricane Center officially yet, but I think that'll do it, you guys. If you had a question and I didn't see it, please let me know. Otherwise, just some housekeeping notes for you. We're going to have another update with the fast forecast. We've got some new video that we've gotten into our studio, so we'll show that in the fast forecast. And we'll have another live update probably around 11 a.m. tomorrow. A.m. We'll be showing beach cameras if there are any that are functional. A lot of times they go out during a landfalling system, and we'll show you the graphics. We try and show those to you guys every couple of hours. And then I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, and we'll have some more updates for you then. But for now, that will do it with our update on Tropical Storm Beta. Hope everyone in Texas is staying safe. I know there's a lot of storm chasers out there right now trying to grab video. So please be safe. The water rises really quickly in the storm surge. And again, with these flash flooding events, they're super, super dangerous. So I know storm chasers know how to chase safely. But if you're not a storm chaser, please just watch safely from your house because it's very, very dangerous stuff. All right, you guys, that'll do it for now. It is 11:54 Eastern Time, 10:54 Central Time. On behalf of Damian McFarland, running the switches for us tonight, and myself, Leslie Hudson. Thanks so much for joining, you guys. Stay safe, Texas. We'll have another update for you soon.